Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Mia, and I am sorry if the camera is shaking. My camera's actually sitting on my cat's cat tree, and she's on the top tier and she keeps moving. Anyway, so if you don't know me, my name is Mia. I'm a pastry sous chef at a fine dining restaurant in San Francisco. I have worked there for a little bit over a year now, and I got quite a few comments. So 3 months ago, I posted a video on my channel, and it was a day in the life as a pastry chef, and I got quite a few comments asking how I became a pastry chef. So I thought I'd talk about my journey on how I got here and what I did to achieve this goal of mine. I think my experience and my journey to my job position now was a little bit different than some other people's. Stop moving. So basically, I wanted to be a chef since I wanted to be a chef since I was 5 years old. I had always talked about wanting to be a chef. I always loved food, and I thought making food was just like so fun. And obviously I didn't really know like anything about the actual industry. I just knew I loved food and I loved making food. I mean, how much more can you really know when you're 5? So I just always wanted to help my parents in the kitchen and help my Nana make cookies and stuff like that. And I always just kind of said, like, I'm going to be a chef one day. I also said I was going to be a ballerina, and I haven't danced since I was like 7. So ever since I was little, my parents used to always make jokes about me going to Johnson & Wales University because that's where Emerald went, and that was like the only celebrity chef that I knew. We always made jokes about me going to Johnson & Wales. And then when I was 13, my mom and I, mostly me, decided to sell cupcakes to people that we knew. We thought it'd be really fun to own our own cupcake business. This was around the same time Cupcake Wars was getting like super popular. This was in 2012, I believe, 2012 or 2011. And maybe even earlier than that, it might have even been 2010. So basically, I convinced my mom to start a cupcake business so that way I could make cupcakes, because that's what I wanted to do. And I thought all the businesses on Cupcake Wars were so cool, and it was like a super big trend then. So after a lot of planning and figuring out how to do it, we decided to name it Sugar Rush Cupcake. My mom still does it to this day. I don't live anywhere near her anymore, so it's just her now. But we did that for a little while. We did events. I was a cheerleader at the time, so we did a lot of cheer competitions where we'd set up a booth and sell cupcakes to the cheerleaders. We called them spirit cupcakes. We actually had a bunch of different sprinkles, and you could like sprinkle your team's colors on it, so that was really cool. And we did Relay for Life and things like that, and we basically just sold cupcakes to people that we knew or people in my hometown. It wasn't anything too crazy. It was just out of our home kitchen. So that's when I was 13 we started that. When I went into high school, my sister went to a technical high school, and she was in it for painting and design, for like exterior painting and interior painting of houses. So she was in it for that, but the same high school had a culinary program. And from the day that my sister was applying to that school and was a freshman, I was like, oh, I want to go here for culinary so bad. So when it became my turn, because I'm 4 years younger than her, when it came my turn to pick what high school I was going to go to, whether it be my town's public school or the vocational high school, I decided to go to the vocational high school. And I applied to be in the culinary program, and I got in. Being at that high school probably didn't really help my career that much. I think it kind of just like fueled my love for it, because I was cooking all day and it was really fun, and I got to like see kind of how things are made and like learn equipment name. But I didn't learn anything that I learned in proper culinary school at all. And one day, when I was a sophomore, we had a presenter come in, and she was representing the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. So I really wanted to go to Johnson & Wales up until this point. So the presenter came, and I can remember this so clearly, and this was when I was a sophomore, so I was like 15 at the time, and I'm 22 now, and I very clearly remember this day. She put up a big picture of the campus, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, this campus is this campus is so beautiful. So she really convinced me that that was a really good campus, and I really liked the curriculum, and I liked that everybody at that school was either going for culinary or baking. It wasn't like Johnson and Wales where they had other normal majors too, like you could go for like criminal justice or biology and things like that. So the Culinary Institute of America was only culinary and baking. So I really liked that. So I ended up applying to both. I got into both. I committed to the CIA, and I'm gonna be honest, it was like the best year and a half of my life, and I don't want to make it seem like you have to go to culinary school, because you absolutely do not. My executive chef at the restaurant that I work at didn't go to culinary school, so I think the only people who went to culinary school were me and my executive pastry chef, who actually doesn't work at the restaurant anymore, so now it's just me, and everybody else learned by just working in the career and starting from the bottom and working their way up. I have to say that I think culinary school is the way to do it if you're impatient. I'm super impatient, and I don't know how to describe it, I wanted to fast track my career, and I think that's a really good way to do it, and I also knew what I wanted to do from so early on. I think if you are jumping into the career later in life, it doesn't hurt to go to culinary school. I mean, I had a bunch of classmates who were in their 30s and 40s, I'm pretty sure there was even some in their 50s, and it was the norm. It wasn't weird. It was actually weird if you went right out of high school. I didn't even go right out of high school. I actually skipped a year. Most people were older for starting college, but not really old. I would say if you've been thinking about this for like your whole life, then culinary school makes sense. But you really, really, really have to have a passion for it, and I'm saying this because culinary school is going to put you in debt, and it's hard. And I don't just mean like the curriculum is hard, which it is. It's also just really hard mentally. I mean, you're gonna have chefs yelling at you, you're in class for like 8 hours a day, you have to stand on your feet for majority of the day, you get like one lunch break or one dinner break depending on when your classes are, and it's one class all day, and then you also have academic classes on top of that, and there's very strict dress code, and if you're out of dress code they can send you home and give you 0 for the day, and it's super easy to fail classes, which sounds intimidating, but and by super easy I mean if you are in uniform you'll get a 0 for the day, and that'll heavily affect your grade. If you don't turn in a project, that'll heavily affect your grade more than normal college, because the classes are so fast. You switch classes every 3 weeks. This is at least at the CIA. I don't know how they do it at other culinary schools, but so if you're not sure about being in the industry and being in the career, I recommend getting a job at a smaller restaurant, like a mom and pop would be awesome, where you can really learn hands-on before deciding to spend all that money on culinary school, because it is super, super expensive, but it does put you in the fast lane, and it helps you skip over the, like you don't have to work as a line cook at like a pizza place, or like, I don't know, just like small restaurants. Like I went from culinary school straight into my job that I have now at a fine dining restaurant in San Francisco. So your third semester at the CIA, they actually require you to go off campus and work for a semester, and most of the time it's paid. So they might have you stage, which basically just means that you go and work for them for a day, and they see your skill set and if you'd be a good fit. Some places won't have you do this because if it's too far away or something like that, they just won't have you do it. So I applied to a few places, and the funny thing is the only place that contacted me back, well, a few places contacted me back, but the only place that I got like far enough in the interviews, because you also have to think about how many kids are applying all at once. It's kind of competitive. So the one place that I got pretty far into the interview process was Four Seasons Hualalai in Kona, Hawaii, and it's on the Big Island in Hawaii. So I was super excited. One of my best friends, Courtney, and I decided to externship there together. So we had a friend, and we went from school in Hyde Park, New York, got on a plane. We didn't even go home. We went right from school, right to the airport, flew to Hawaii. We were there for 15 weeks. We worked for the baking and pastry department at the Four Seasons Resort. It was incredible. Both of us miss it so much, like every day. I was actually there 2 years ago today, and it was an amazing experience. So I was there for 15 weeks. I learned so much. It kind of sounds scary if you think about it, because it's like you're going in the middle of school and you like don't really know what you're doing yet, and you're like, oh my god, am I gonna do good? And then you get there and it's like so fun. You meet so many new people and you learn so much you wouldn't necessarily learn at school. And for me, I learned a whole new cuisine because Hawaii's culture is so beautiful and so unique and different. They have just the most incredible fruit and foods that I learned how to work with. It was just like the experience of a lifetime. So I went there for 15 weeks and then we flew back and we were back at school. I think like 2 weeks after I came back, I decided I wanted to get a job off campus and earn a little extra money. So I drove to a nearby town and I applied at a couple of restaurants, and I walked into one and they hired me on the spot. They actually saw that I worked at the Four Seasons on my resume and they were like, do you want this job? And I was like, sure. So I ended up being a part-time pastry cook. It was one of the best restaurants in that town. They were super popular. And I only worked on the weekends because I had class from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. every single day during the week. So I only worked on Saturdays and Sundays. I went in at 4, left around like 10:30, and basically all I did was run service. I just filled out the orders. I didn't really make anything. I didn't really do any prep, but that was super fun because I got to practice my skills working the line, because when I worked the line on externship, it was my first time ever doing that, and I'm just gonna say it, I was really bad at it, and I definitely like honed in on my skills working at the other restaurant in Rhinebeck. That restaurant was also really fun to work at as well. When it became time to graduate, so I came back from Hawaii in May and I graduated on December 19th. So when it came time to start looking for jobs, I started looking for jobs in around October, and I applied to a bunch of places. I was looking in Hawaii, I was looking in LA, I was looking in San Francisco. My parents wanted me to look in like Florida and Texas, but I kind of wanted to stick to Michelin star areas or heavy travel areas, which I know Florida is, but for some reason Florida didn't really appeal to me. I kind of wanted to go somewhere completely new because I've been to Florida a ton of times. I mean, I live on the East Coast, or lived with my parents, but I'm from the East Coast, so I wanted to try out somewhere completely different and new. So I applied to the Fairmont Orchid in Hawaii on the same island. It's about like 10 minutes away from the Four Seasons that I worked at, and I was offered a position there. Now she's playing with a toy, so if you hear noises in the background, that's just my cat in the other room. I got offered a position there, and I hadn't officially taken it, but I knew that the offer was on the table. And then the day of my graduation, oh well, let's rewind actually. So I got that job offer in like December, but in November I had emailed and heard back from the restaurant that I currently work at now, and they were super, super nice. They basically were like, it was like 2 emails back and forth, and then they offered me the job. I didn't have an interview. I didn't talk to them on the phone. It was just a couple of emails. I didn't do a stage, nothing. But my old executive pastry chef, he basically said, he was like, look, I used to live in Boston. I came from Boston to San Francisco, because I'm from Massachusetts. I don't think I mentioned that. He's like, I came from Boston to San Francisco, and it was super hard to find a job unless you're already out here, and I know how hard it is to move to the most expensive city in the country without a job, and I don't want you to have that experience. So he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to offer you a job. You can come out here. If it's not a good fit, great. You can find somewhere else to work, but at least you'll be making money and you'll be able to look for another job. If it's a good fit, perfect. You'll have a job and you can be here for a long time. So he said that, and I said, thank you so much. I'm going to weigh my options. I'll get back to you. And I kind of just sat on that offer. For some reason, I never officially turned it down, even though I was super excited about this offer in Hawaii. I was just like, I just never officially emailed him and said thank you, but no thanks. And then the day of my graduation came about, and Christina Tosi, who, if you don't know her, she owns Momofuku Milk Bar. She has a Chef's Table episode in season 4. I'm pretty sure it's season 4, episode 1 on Netflix. It's the best Chef's Table episode in my opinion. She's so personable and so likable, and I really look up to her, and we were so lucky to get her as our graduation speaker. and she came and she gave this amazing speech about how she worked her way up in the career, and she lived in New York City and she started at the bottom and then now she owns this like empire, and I just love her business model and everything. And I was thinking to myself, I know how much I love Hawaii, and I know if I go to Hawaii I'll never leave and I'll end up working in resorts my whole life, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with because I loved my time at the resort. It's just not what I wanted long term. I knew that I wanted to own my own big business chain empire one day, and I knew that if I was in Hawaii it would be really hard to expand, and if I ever wanted to leave Hawaii it would be really hard to leave because it's on an island. You can't just load all your stuff in a U-Haul and drive to a different state, you know. You have to either ship it all out, which is thousands upon thousands of dollars, or sell it all and buy all new stuff. So just thinking about how difficult it would be to get on the path that I wanted, I decided to turn that offer in Hawaii down, which is, if you look at it on paper, it looks so stupid that I turned that down. It was more money, it was in Hawaii of all places, I had good hours, and it seemed like a really good fit, and it just didn't sit right in my stomach. I just knew that that wasn't the correct choice for me, so I turned it down. And then I emailed another place in San Francisco and actually asked them if I could go stage. This place had 2 Michelin stars. If you don't know what a Michelin star is, just look that up because I don't really want to get into that, but basically it's like the highest honor you can get at a restaurant. It goes up to 3. So this place had 2 Michelin stars. My dad and I flew to San Francisco in January 2019. Yes, January 2019 we flew to San Francisco to stage there. I didn't get that job. I didn't really like that restaurant to begin with, and my dad actually decided to look up how close the other restaurant that I had been talking to since November was, and he looked it up and he was like, Mia, this other restaurant's 700 feet away according to Google Maps. Like, we literally had a hotel down the street, like 2 blocks away from that restaurant. So we were like, all right, let's go. So I emailed the executive pastry chef back. I said, I'm in San Francisco, I'd love to come talk to you. How's tomorrow? And he was like, all right, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. So I went to the restaurant the next day and I talked to him, and we basically shook hands and said, see you next month. I'm gonna go work for him. Let me tell you, that was like one of the best decisions I ever made. I'm so happy it turned out that way. Everything happens for a reason. Me turning down the job in Hawaii, me not getting the other job at 2 Michelin stars, which is supposed to be more reputable, but I'm just so happy that it happened the way that it did, because I ended up working for a boss that treated me equally and not like less than him. He asked me for my opinions on everything. He really took my ideas into consideration and put a few of my desserts on the menu, constantly asking me, do you think we should do this or this? And he really taught me a lot. And same with the executive chef, so the chef of like the whole restaurant, because there's the pastry chef and then the executive chef. So the executive chef also really wanted me to learn and be the best that I could be, and they pushed me to be the best that I could be. They didn't just bring me in and they were like, okay, here's the crap work nobody else wants to do, that's what you're going to be doing. They really took into account what I wanted to do with my career. And less than a year working there, so I started there on March 9th, which was actually a little bit later than our original intended start date, but there was just some issues that we had to work out before I started. So I started there March 9th, and then in December, Stevie, no! Sorry. In December, I got promoted to the junior pastry sous chef. So this was like such a big promotion for me. I was super, super excited, and that's where I am now. I call myself sous chef because it's just easier. Technically, my position right now is junior pastry sous chef, but my executive pastry chef is actually moving to Florida for his wife got a job there, basically. It's just going to be me and our pastry cook, who's below me, working together, and the executive chef. So technically, I am the highest position in my department, which is really scary. That's just how I got to where I am now, and I'm super excited to see where else I go in the future. Let me know in the comments and I can do an in-depth video about my journey at the CIA. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. I want to start making more videos, but in quarantine it is hard to make kitchen videos, so it's probably going to be a few sit-down videos here or there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!